Welcome back to Crafting Made Simple.
Ooh, it's always good to be back.
If you love these creative deep dives and want even more, make sure you're signed up for our newsletter.
You can find the link in the show notes.
It's got tons of tips and project ideas.
It really does.
Today we're diving into sip and paint ideas.
Perfect for a fun night with your friends.
Exactly. Or even a date night.
Oh, for sure, a unique one.
It's all inspired by a blog post from Paperflow Designs.
Sip and paint events are everywhere these days.
It feels like it.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people get intimidated, though, like they have to be a pro to try it.
Yeah, I can see that.
This blog post breaks it down, though, so anyone can host.
Even if they've never touched a canvas.
Seriously. You can find everything you need in the show notes.
Or on the blog.
Yep, paperflowdesigns.com.
What I like about this post is that it's like a mini guide to teaching a class.
Right. They even mention using a hairdryer to speed up drying time between layers.
Who would have thought a hairdryer could be an art supply?
So creative.
Let's talk about the actual painting, though.
Okay.
For beginners, they suggest landscapes, still lifes, or abstract art.
I've tried landscapes.
Oh, yeah?
But I always get impatient waiting for the paint to dry.
Maybe that hairdryer trick would help.
You never know.
What about you? Any favorites?
Maybe abstract art. It just seems so free.
I totally agree. It's all about expressing yourself through the color and texture.
Not about getting it perfect.
Exactly. And speaking of expressing yourself, the blog post had some fun ideas for couples.
Ooh, yeah. What were those?
Like drawing each other.
Oh my gosh. The results could be hilarious.
I know, right? Like a Picasso or something.
It's such a fun way to see how you perceive each other.
It really is.
And maybe discover some hidden artistic talents.
Definitely. They also suggested making two pieces that go together.
Ooh, like a surprise reveal.
Exactly.
It's perfect for a romantic evening.
It is.
What if you want more of a challenge, though?
Ooh, good question. For that, they suggest animal portraits or pop art.
Sounds fun.
They even had a giraffe template for the animal portrait.
Could you use that for other animals, too? Like swap out the spots for stripes to make a zebra?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Maybe it's more about the technique.
Could be. It shows there are options for all skill levels, though, for sure.
Absolutely. Even if you're not teaching a class, they have tips for hosting your own get-together.
Like what?
I feel like I'd be running around making sure everyone had what they needed.
Well, one tip is to choose a painting that's easy to follow.
That makes sense.
And that can be done in about an hour.
So no one gets left behind.
Right. And having clear instructions is key, too.
Maybe even practice it yourself beforehand.
Definitely. They also had practical advice like having a hairdryer.
To speed up drying time.
Yep. It's the little things that make a difference.
Speaking of details, what about supplies?
The must-haves.
Yes. I imagine you need more than just paint and brushes.
Definitely. You'll need the basics, of course, like paintbrushes, a palette, and paint.
What kind of paint?
They recommend acrylic.
Why acrylic?
It's easy to use and dries quickly.
Makes sense.
And canvases.
Of course.
Water for cleaning the brushes and paper towels for any spills.
Got it. What else?
They also mention masking tape, which I found intriguing.
Masking tape for painting.
You can use it to make crisp edges.
Really?
Or to keep your paper from moving around.
Huh. That's so clever.
I know, right?
I'm learning so much from this blog post.
Me too.
They even have a whole section for first-time sippin' painters.
How thoughtful. It can be a little intimidating trying something new.
What kind of advice do they have?
Well, they talk about the acrylic paint again.
How easy it is to use.
Right, and they suggest gathering all the basic supplies we talked about.
The brushes, palette, paint, canvas, all that.
Yep. They also recommend online painting classes.
What a great idea.
Or even local art classes to learn some techniques beforehand.
It's like a warm-up for your creativity.
Exactly. They even talk about virtual paint nights.
Ooh, that's cool.
I know, right?
It's perfect for introverts.
Or if you just prefer to be at home.
Or if your friends live far away.
Totally.
It opens up so many possibilities.
They suggest Zoom or Skype for hosting.
That makes sense.
They also recommend online painting classes and DIY paint kits.
So many options.
I know. If you want a sense of community, they even suggest joining virtual paint night communities online.
Like a virtual art studio.
Exactly.
It's amazing how technology can connect people through creative things like this.
It's a testament to how popular sip and paint events are becoming.
Totally. And even if you're hosting an in-person event, the blog post talks about setting the right ambiance.
Like making your home feel like a welcoming art studio.
Yeah.
What kind of tips do they have?
Well, they recommend clearing a space, setting up easels or tables, And making sure there is good lighting
Practical stuff.
and protecting your furniture from paint splatter.
Good call.
They also mentioned music for setting the vibe.
Did they have any genre suggestions?
No, it was more about personal preference, what kind of mood you want to create.
So true.
And of course, they mentioned refreshments.
Wine and snacks, a classic.
The perfect pairing.
What else?
Their last tip is to have an area to display everyone's artwork.
Oh, like a mini art gallery.
Exactly.
I love that. It's a way to celebrate everyone's creativity and acknowledge their effort.
For sure. It really emphasizes that social aspect of it all.
Sip and paint events are more than just painting. They're a way to connect with people and express yourself.
And this blog post does a great job of explaining how to create a memorable event.
They've thought of everything.
It's inspiring me to plan my own sip and paint night.
Me too.
Before we get too carried away, though, let's take a quick break.
Sounds good.
When we come back, we'll talk about those beginner-friendly options.
And virtual paint nights.
Stay tuned.
You know, when we were talking about the ambiance, it made me realize how much the environment really can influence your creativity.
It's so true.
I went to this one event, and they had such a great playlist, upbeat indie music, and it just energized the whole room.
It's like setting the soundtrack for your creative journey.
Exactly.
Speaking of creative journeys, let's go back to some of those specific painting ideas,
Oh, yeah, the ones from the blog post.
like the ones for beginners.
Okay.
They had a starry night, abstract paintings, or a calming seascape.
What makes those good for beginners, you think?
Well, they're all really pretty to look at,
That's true.
and you don't have to be so precise.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Like with a starry night, you could do different shades of blue and white.
And maybe even add some silver sparkles.
Ooh, I like that.
With abstract art, it's all about letting go of expectations.
It doesn't have to look like anything specific.
It's all about expressing yourself through the color and texture.
And that calming seascape.
It's like bringing the beach home with you.
So relaxing.
It's a great way to de-stress.
The blog post also gives you tips on how to approach each one.
Oh, like what?
For example, they said landscapes are great for beginners because they're forgiving.
What do you mean?
Like if you make a mistake, you can just blend it into the background.
Oh, so it just adds to the texture.
Exactly.
You don't have to stress about being perfect.
Speaking of taking the pressure off, they also talk about virtual paint nights.
Right. I love that. It just opens it up to so many more people.
It does. It's perfect for introverts.
Or if you just prefer to paint at home.
Or if you want to paint with friends who live far away.
It's all about making it accessible to everyone.
I love that.
They even talk about using Zoom or Skype,
It's like a virtual art studio.
and you can still chat and laugh with your friends.
And they recommend checking out online painting classes.
Or those DIY paint kits you can order online.
So convenient.
And for beginners, having that step-by-step guide can make all the difference.
You can. It's like having a virtual art instructor.
And if you want more of a community feeling, they recommend joining those virtual paint night groups online.
It's a global network of creative people.
And it just shows you that these sip and paint events are more than just a trend.
They're a way for people to connect and be creative.
Totally.
The blog also mentioned that these events can be a great team-building activity.
Oh, yeah, for businesses.
Yeah, or a fun way to celebrate a special occasion.
Like a birthday party.
Or a bachelorette party.
The possibilities are endless.
You can really personalize it to your group or the occasion.
And it reminds you that you don't need a special reason to do this.
Sometimes you just need to get together with friends and be creative.
Exactly. Just have some fun.
It's a celebration of creativity in all its forms.
I am feeling pretty celebratory after all this talk about sip and paint. Me too. It's making me want to plan my own paint night.
What kind of theme are you thinking?
That is a tough one.
Would you go classic, like a starry night, or more adventurous?
I love the starry night, but I also want to try something abstract. Ooh, what if you combine them?
A starry night with an abstract twist.
Yes. I can just picture it. A swirl of colors in a night sky.
It's all about that experience, you know?
The music, the snacks, being with your friends.
It all comes together.
And the best part is, there is no right or wrong way to do it.
Just have fun and experiment.
And embrace the joy of making art.
And who knows, you might discover a hidden talent.
Speaking of discoveries, we've reached the end of our sip and paint exploration for today. It's funny we think of crafting as a hobby, but this blog post talked about how it can be a business.
I know, it's pretty cool.
So many people are turning their passions into work these days.
It really shows you the power of creativity.
It's not just about selling your creations, though.
No, it's more than that.
It's about sharing your passion
And inspiring others.
and building a community,
The blog post talked a lot about creating a welcoming space for these events.
right? Like it's not just about the painting.
It's about connecting with people.
and celebrating creativity.
It's a place where you can let go and experiment.
And maybe surprise yourself.
The blog post even addressed those anxieties that new painters might have,
It can be intimidating to pick up a paintbrush.
especially if you haven't done it in a while.
But they said it's about the process.
Not about the finished product.
Exactly.
It's about letting go of perfection
And just having fun.
and making mistakes.
Sometimes those mistakes turn into something beautiful.
It's all part of the creative process.
And that's a message that goes beyond painting.
It applies to so many things.
We don't have to be experts to be creative.
Everyone is creative in their own way.
And sip and paint events are a great way to explore that.
They give you the tools and guidance.
But you still have the freedom to express yourself,
It's like a creative adventure.
where you never know what you'll discover.
Well, that about wraps up this episode of Crafting Made Simple.
Don't forget to sign up for the newsletter
For even more crafting inspiration and project ideas.
and check out Paperflow Designs for all your sip and paint supplies.
Thanks for joining us today.
We hope you feel inspired to unleash your inner artist.
Until next time, happy crafting.